Okay, everyone, I am so excited to bring to the stage my next guest. She's somebody that I met years ago through a mutual teacher and friend, Michael Bernard Beckwith of the Agape International Spiritual Center. And from the first time I met her, I was just so impressed and inspired by this young woman who has fire in her soul for bringing forth truth and healing and empowering everyone to know that they have everything within them to heal themselves if that is their life path. And so I want to introduce to you Kelly Noonan Gores. She is the writer, director, and producer of Heal, a documentary feature about the mind-body connection and our body's innate ability to heal. She also authored the follow-up book, Heal, and is host of the new Heal podcast. It's so great. I recommend you go and watch it. She is a Los Angeles native, and she grew up in front of the camera, acting on and off in commercials, TV, and film from the age of 7. In 2012, she started Elevative Entertainment with the intention to create conscious media that informs, inspires, and empowers. She has a passion for psychology, wellness, and spirituality, and an insatiable appetite for understanding consciousness. Her intention with the Heal platform is to empower people with knowledge about the incredible ability and intelligence of the human body and inspire people to expand their belief about what's possible and become conscious co-creators with life. Kelly is a seeker, a meditator, and enjoys traveling, sports, reading, and writing. And she is a wonderful mom and wife. And I just invite you to put your hands together and help me welcome Kelly to the stage.
What a welcome. Thank you. Thank you all out there clapping.
Yes, well, it's wonderful to be with you. I always enjoy our conversations. And when I was planning this event and the theme about permission to embody your influence, your power, to know your worth and your value, and then create a powerful legacy, I thought of you because of Heal, because of what propelled you to explore this topic of healing and interview leading edge and experts in the field of healing. So I would love to hear from you as a woman who grew up in the entertainment industry, what it was like for you to give yourself permission to embody your influence, your worth, your value.
Ooh, that's a great question. I would say that it's like an ongoing process of embracing value and worth. I think I'm still undoing childhood, issues of, or constructs of worthlessness and, not good enough. And those behaviors that I've developed to survive back then when I thought that, if I made a mistake or if I spilled the milk or if I didn't get the A or if I didn't get the job, whatever it was. So I'm still unwinding those things decades later. But so, but it was our mutual friend, Reverend Michael Beckwith, who really, just made me aware of the fact that if we have this like passion in our heart, this calling in our heart, if we light up when we talk about something, if we are energized when we're talking about something, to pay attention to that and to listen to that energy. So, growing up in the entertainment industry and acting, you face quite a lot of rejection. So in my late 20s, I was attending Agape, I was meditating, and I was taking classes, and I was just really turned on by what he was saying. It just resonated so deeply. And I looked around, and Agape was like a microcosm of the world. It was just people from all backgrounds, economic, cultural, just, it was just a colorful rainbow of humanity. Mm-hmm. And I said, wow, it just resonated on every level. And so when he taught me to listen to that call in my heart, it gave me confidence to that everything, like the oak tree in the acorn, everything I need, God plants that calling in your heart, that dream, that vision, and it's equipped with everything you need to see it realized. So I really took that to heart, and I believed it. And so when I started to light up and get more passionate about spirituality, consciousness, healing, and possibility than I was about the grind and getting a job, booking a TV show, I paid attention. And then I just let it marinate until that day that I was just like, okay. It was actually, I read Anita Moorjani's book, Dying to Be Me.
Ah,
And she was the poster child of what would become heal. Her physical body was as far gone as it could ever be. There's not a doctor on the planet that would imagine that she could recover from that.
yeah.
And with a shift in consciousness through a near-death experience, she came back into her body, and her body healed, and did the impossible. So I was like, okay, everything is possible. If you look at Anita's as an example, and I was ready to do it. And then the confidence and everything else just came along the way, because Michael's words were true. It's
Yes.
true. You say yes, you follow your passion, you follow that calling in your heart, and the universe conspires and backs it up.
Yes. I love that. I love that. It's, so you said so much. So it's a spiritual law. Like, it is a universal law that when you line up with it, that the universe responds by corresponding to the vibration that you emit.
Mhm.
And that's the vibration, your words, your thoughts, and you lined up, and it was like, whew, right?
Yeah.
And Anita Moorjani, what an amazing expression of life and healing, right? That's amazing. And I think about one of the qualities that is so endearing about you is how authentic you are. I mean, it's something that for me, I know I have walked through my life with questions about my self-worth or my value, or because of the work that I do, can I be vulnerable? Like, can I share? Oh wow, I'm just like moving through something. It's like bringing me to my knees, or and I just love how authentic you are.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit of an open book, but I just feel like I have the privilege of being able to, I have the resources to be able to try out all these healers and these, I've been on my own self-healing journey, not from anything, not a severe diagnosis or anything, but I've been diagnosed with Lyme and mold, and I've moved through some stuff, but because of my, what I've learned and what I've become aware of, and these wonderful teachers that God has blessed me with in my life, and I give them all the credit in the world. I'm incredibly fortunate to have had access to information, and then access to different healers and people that can reflect back to me my worth and help me heal at different levels. And so I just feel compelled to share what I've learned, and part of that sharing, involves being vulnerable.
It's so beautiful. I remember years ago, someone said to me that your strength and your beauty lies in your vulnerability. And I like I shared before we got on, like, I'm a New Yorker, even though I've been on a spiritual path since I'm 8, and I was in the entertainment industry as a publicist, like it was about doing.
Mm-hmm.
It was about doing and making sure everything looked right and everything was handled. And I remember when she said that to me, I was kind of like, oh, what do you mean? Like, vulnerability?
Yeah.
Right? Like, really. And so it's wonderful to hear you say that, because it is true. And what I also appreciate about you is that you offer the invitation to people through your sharing, through the podcast, through the film. You allow your journey with these topics to be a classroom for people.
Yeah.
And I remember years ago when I did the first birthing a New World, and it was Dale Bigtree and David Martin and yourself, and the topic that came through for me was conscious media.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was what you all spoke about, and it was so moving for me to see 3 people, beautiful souls, who are very devoted and committed to truth, to healing, to teaching.
Mm.
It was one of the most poignant segments of a very beautiful experience.
Thank you. And even, as you say that now, I was like, oh my God, that was a few years ago. Like, and sitting in the presence of someone like Del Bigtree and David Martin, like, I was like, who am I to be sitting here with these guys that are way more courageous than I am and have so much more knowledge and just so, at every level, there's definitely you just peel back layers, and I'm much more confident and in my own skin today than I was even 2-3 years ago, whenever that
Yeah.
was. So it's just, for anyone that's feeling like they're on a journey or they could never be to where they want to be, it's like just remember, like, we are all humans. Like, Michael was not always Reverend Michael Beckwith. Like,
Right.
but you have to you got to go on your path. And then one day you're going to wake up and you're going to be like standing with the people that you've admired and your
Yes.
teachers and, or you will be flung far ahead of them, whatever your journey is. But
Yeah.
we're all humans, we're in community, vulnerability, asking for help. We were not meant to do things alone. Literally, we were villages raise children. That's that saying is real. And
Yes.
our society is so sick because we have isolated families. We've built concrete walls and people feel very isolated. And so, the more people that can be vulnerable and ask for help and dig into community, we can start to shift that back and start to be more of a, you're not supposed to do things on your own. It's just, you can't.
No.
Isolation breeds disease and mental illness, and we're seeing that rampantly, symptomatically in our society right now. And so, yeah, you're not supposed to do it alone. You need your community. You need your village.
Yeah. So I remember when I first heard, it takes a village to raise a child, but it takes a child to raise a village. It takes a village to raise a mother. Like, it is everything that you're talking about. It's not that we go alone. And I feel like that has created so much soul sickness for people, is that feeling that they're silos, especially this lockdown. Like, that's we could talk about that for a whole thing about what happened and how people were just, the idea that a mother had to birth by herself, or people had to say goodbye to loved ones through a window. I mean, to me, it's so inhumane that I can't even, I don't necessarily want us to go there unless you want to go there.
Fear does very strange things to people.
Yes. The contagion of fear, the proliferation of the vibration of fear is contagious for some. And then for others, it's not, because we have the opportunity for discernment through the work that we do and being surrendered, giving up those old edifices that some people just grasp. So you chose to become a mom. What led you to that decision?
It's funny. That's like the one thing I always knew I was going to be a mom. And I wasn't like, I got married later. I waited to have kids later. But I always knew it was like a deal breaker for me. I actually married a man who already had children, and a few different wives before me. So like,
he was practicing.
And but by the time I got to him, he was like, I'm done, and I understood why from his perspective, and I wasn't offended by it, but I was like, but I'm not. So there's, at a certain point we had these difficult conversations of, we love each other, but we're at this like kind of impasse. And, but to me, ultimately, it was like, no matter how much I loved him, my need to be a mother was stronger. So I was willing to walk away from that relationship. And ultimately, through many different iterations, he decided like, okay, I'd rather, surmount my fears and do it and give you a child, because you deserve to be happy. I deserve to be happy. You make me happy. So let's just do it. So we had a child. And yeah, I mean, I think I had her, when I was 40. So yeah, she's, I think motherhood is, for me, it was just an experience I knew I was meant to have. And
that's amazing. I actually never knew that about you, but I was the same way. I knew from the time I was a kid, I was always taking care of kids. I started babysitting when I was 12. It was something that was so on my heart. And I actually said to my husband, after we were dating for a while, I said to him, so I just want to share this with you. And this is a choice, but I would just love to know. I'm really interested in having and getting married and having a family. It's really important to me. And what I would like to know from you is that something that you are interested in exploring? Because if you are not, no problem. Okay with me. But if you aren't, then I won't be able to see you anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
Was,
that, and you have to be, for some people, that's just like, and for some people, it's the opposite. It's like, you know
yes.
what? I'm kind of indifferent about it. And I'd rather stay with this person in this life. And I
Yeah.
totally get it. I think that
Yeah.
there's room for all of it. It's
Yeah.
perfect for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had my daughter when I was 41.
Okay. All right. I know that about you.
Yeah. Yeah. So motherhood, I know for me, has been one of the deepest paths of transformation and evolution. Right. I am a love revolutionary, evolutionary, and the greatest love for me has been my daughter, and helping her and giving her permission to embody her value and worth. Right. Through the way that I mean, like, I talked to her from the time I just saw that line on the stick, and to have that reflected back is so extraordinary. Right. Your daughter's 4 now, right?
She turns 4 in a couple weeks. Yep.
Yep. So incredible.
I know. Yeah. She's definitely the greatest teacher. And I felt like the moment I got pregnant, I was on this fast track to like, oh gosh, I've got to like heal some shit so I don't pass it on to her, and you just like go into this, it's like, even before nesting, you're almost like cleaning out your own energetic house, because now she's in your energy, or she's in your field, she's in your womb. And you're like, I've got to like start to let stuff go. And so just things start shedding while she's in utero. And then of course she becomes your greatest teacher and trigger. Because she's so intimately connected to you and your energy. So she's going to trigger parts of you that need to be looked at and pulled out from under the rug and healed,
Absolutely.
So, and it's just a wild experience. And you do your best, and then you're like completely unresourced and exhausted. And even when you have help, like, and have no excuse, but it's just, you just do your best, and you navigate it with grace. And then, thank God for this whole world of repair, because there was no repair when I was a kid, right? Now we have all these like conscious parenting people we can follow on Instagram and podcasts and books. And so I'm learning, I'm like, oh my God, repair. Of course. We can't, because we put that pressure on ourselves to be perfect. And be perfect mothers, and not make mistakes to screw up our kids like we were screwed up. I love my parents, but like there's just a certain amount of screw up we, embody. That we undo over time.
Yeah.
But the point is, even if I was the perfect conscious mother, which I assure you I am not, the point is not to, the goal is not to like not screw up our child, because their soul came in with its own agenda and the own lessons to learn. So no matter how good or bad we do, the soul is going to learn the lessons and create in their experience what they need to do to grow to the next level of consciousness, or whatever, the meaning of life is. So once you have that perspective, you can be like, okay, just take the pressure off of doing it perfect or doing it right, or having, and then just this taking responsibility and go, okay, if I have a human moment and lose my shit, or get frustrated, or control her too much, and, out of fear, and then you can come back and be like, okay, it's your body. It's your, if you want that ice cream, you can have it, but like whatever it is that you lose your shit about it. And when they're teenagers, I'm sure it's a much more difficult. I'm only dealing with a 4-year-old. It's a much more complicated dynamic, but just this dialogue of and opportunity to take responsibility for you and how you show up, and then teach them how to listen to their own body and make their own choices. And then, they're going to have to deal with the consequences of their choices, but give them that autonomy, obviously in a safe container as they're younger and growing older. and just know that like, even if you couldn't do it perfectly, but if you did, they would still have their own lessons that they're going to have to unwind throughout other life experiences. So, you know, it's not our job to do it right. It's our job to take responsibility for how we show up in that relationship, you know, and obviously others.
Oh, I could cry. I just feel so moved. Yes. I'm in such agreement with you. Everything that you said, excuse me. I agree with that, because to be able to help our children be who they are here to be, I know for me, it allowed me to heal all of the craziness that I experienced, the trauma, still unwinding, right? Because I'm still in this human bodysuit.
Yeah.
But the opportunity to help my daughter know who she is and be accepted for who she is. And like you said, to repair, like I know, I don't know if I've ever shared this with you, but what I used to say to her is I would say, okay, I would narrate a lot, and I would say to her, okay, honey, well, mommy is moving from mommy to ogre mommy. And I have like this much right now. I have this much patience. I can't really support you right now, but I love you. And I would, I would tell her, or I would say, gosh, I heard the way I said that to you, and mommy was having big feelings. You're not responsible for them. They're mine.
Yeah, exactly. Just to have that awareness. I mean, again, you're not going to do it perfectly, or I certainly don't do it perfectly, but then at least I can, if I make a mistake or snap or, have big feelings.
Yeah.
Which I have done recently. And, it's just like this perfect storm of like not sleeping, or then she's tantruming. Again, it's like God and the universe and the world, and energetically, it's just this quantum, physical, magnetic thing. You're going to get exactly what you need to like blow the lid off of whatever you need to look at. Right. But thank God for repair, because then you could say, okay, wow, mom just had a little tantrum too. Okay. Like, it's because I didn't sleep last night and I need to take better care of myself. And, just like through modeling, you can teach so much. And that's all you can do is model.
Absolutely.
And then hold space for them as they're trying, 4 young years on this planet, trying to, we like, it's wild to think that we just expect them to like know how to process or even know what they're feeling. They're just learning a whole new language of being human. And we were never taught that. And even, into my 40s, I'm still learning how to like, what exactly am I even feeling? Like we're not given a manual,
Yes.
So it's just all of this awareness is like, and motherhood just accelerates our need to know that, so that we can show up better for our kids.
Yes. 100 gazillion million %. It's like putting Miracle Green on whatever needs to grow. And in that way, we help them in their becoming. And as they're becoming, we're becoming.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
It's such an extraordinary path. And when we surrender to the mystery, the mystification, being brought to your knees, it's this opportunity really to evolve in a very different way. Really incredible. Totally. And if there's anyone who's with us who maybe hasn't birthed a child or chose not to become a mother because of what your issues are, this process is still available to you, this evolutionary process. And it may come through your business. It might come through writing a book or a project. So we're speaking specifically in this instance about with a child, but I know that the opportunities for transformation are in front of anyone.
Yeah. And, to mother yourself.
Absolutely.
The healing process is absolutely about becoming the caretaker and the nurturer of your inner child. I mean, I know some people don't love that phrase, but it really is like, becoming, as we become adults, we can only start to mother ourselves and heal ourselves, you know, or if you're a man watching this, like father yourself. And that's, you know, what, so if even if you don't have a physical child, there's always that opportunity to then start to be the caretaker of your wounded parts and mother yourself, and through, because we're always going to have tough times at every level of growth and unfoldment. That, you know, happiness is not, or joy or peace or bliss, you know, it's to me, it's, you know, I'm always trying to get to that place where like there's going to be no issues and no drama, and it's like, no, that place doesn't exist, I don't think, you know. But to be able to like mother yourself through the hard times, hold space for yourself, like I am now learning to hold space for my toddler, and hold space for those wounded, scared parts of you, to let them, you know, then breathe and start to heal and come to the surface, because we've stuffed them down for so long. So that's a big part of it. You know, that's the bigger part. As we leave our parents, we need to start to do the healing work of mothering or fathering, you know, ourselves, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a deeper soul retrieval. It's really that opportunity to heal, to bring back, to, I often say that it's the opportunity to reclaim your innocence, that place to integrate, so that you can go forward and release into the world the gifts and the skills and the talents that are on your soul.
Yes.
Right.
Totally.
Even when you become a mom. So there's dreams that were on your heart before you became a mom. And then when you become a mom, when you're healthy, like there are some moms that aren't the healthiest and they have children and they pass on some of that stuff for kids to work out. But again, as you spoke to, it's a soul's journey. I believe that everyone chooses their parents. They choose a lot of their curriculum. I have this joke where there's all these souls like in this open atrium, and there's somebody that's standing in front of them, and they're like, okay, who wants to have a life now? And then all these little light beings go, I do. And then they're like, okay, who wants to work on forgiveness? And it's like, I do, and it's like this whole, it's kind of a parody to bring some levity, right? Because I can be so serious sometimes.
Yeah.
So like bring some levity to this thing called life, right?
Yeah.
This opportunity to have a life. And so then we have these opportunities in front of us, these living opportunities to grow and evolve.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And so that's the opportunity. So
yeah, Wayne Dyer wrote these two beautiful, I think it was Wayne Dyer. Was it Wayne Dyer or was it Neil Donald Walsh? It was Neil Donald Walsh. Wrote these two children's books that I think are just so brilliant. But like, as Riley gets older, and I'm starting to read them too now, but it's about like when we're the light beings, the souls, it's like, your best friend, then you guys choose to come down into this life, and it's, you guys are the enemies, and like you have to learn to forgive, and it's just like talking about preparing the soul, but you have to remember. So it's just like such a great perspective that we're all these light beings, and then we can forget that, we're our soul family, light families, even if we're like adversaries here in life. To think back to this book and to think back to our, in that other realm, in that atrium where there is no discord and hatred and anything, it's just pure magnanimous love. And it's just all about like, remember. And like, so I try to think of that, like when someone's coming at me and I'm like, okay, I just got to remember, like, we're all, besties up there in that other realm. So they're good books, even for parents, is what I'm saying.
Yes. So beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It's really important to remember that. And something that you were saying that I was feeling is it's about the love. It's about, I remember talking about being a love emissary. And the thing about love is that it doesn't always mean that people show, it's not unicorns and rainbows. It's not always like love, it's like, oh, okay, here's an opportunity for me to love bigger, to love deeper, to not let that situation, that person keep me from loving.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
God knows I've exercised that in the past, 8.5 years in the state of California.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And it's my life. It's our life's work. I can only speak for myself, but I choose. I choose to grow and evolve and to do that under the vibration of love and to allow myself to stumble and fall and pick myself up and give myself permission to embody my worth, my value, my power, and to help others do that so that we don't have children that are spending a long time overcoming what they experienced.
And don't have children that are, continuing the cycle of judgment and fear and othering. Like, the more that we can model love and forgiveness and release judgment and have more compassion for people, especially if they're on the extreme other end of our beliefs or whatever, or have compassion for the disarray of our societal structures right now, just to not vocalize that and just to really know that these little ears, if we are always vocalizing judgment and othering and, hatred or anything like that, negativity, that you're just imprinting, we're just repeating that pattern. So like really to show up in the world and practice that big love and practice that big understanding and take a wider aperture and say, okay, I don't need to be pulled into that extreme drama, and just kind of all embrace, like, okay, this is what's happening right now, all these different opinions, and just release judgment, more compassion myself, so that we're not, because we're just programming our children. And that's, I don't want to perpetuate this dynamic that we're living in. So I have to do it in my home to stop the madness,
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for being a power of example. Thank you for continually bringing conscious media and people that are doing this work in the world, and for being here with us today and imparting your wisdom, your experience, and hope so people can live lives of freedom and fulfillment.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for putting this together, and all continuing to do what you do to bring together women and raise the tide so that we can keep this community going and help each other through it all.
Yeah, it's my joy, my deepest joy. Thank you. So everyone, thank you for being here. Thank you for journeying with us. We are so delighted that you are with us. Take a moment and you can go to Heal Podcast, and you can also see Kelly's bio. If there's any way you want to connect with her, you can do that, and through the connection and the link. And please stay with us. We are continuing on, and I want to let you know something before we say goodbye for this particular segment. You are powerful beyond measure, loved beyond description, and a force for good in the world. So go forth and spread your magic, because we need you, the world needs you, your kids need you, and you matter. Thanks for being with us. Peace and blessings.